So we can see that we've managed to change the font size in the cells that we want, but we've also got some issues with our navigation and menu bars that are probably inherited from that change. So let's get a little more specific with our CSS. We'll pick up the DOM Explorer again, and we'll click on the element we want to explore. So we can see that we're in the TD as we discovered earlier. But what we want to do is be a little more specific about when we want to apply this rule. So what we're going to do is scroll up. We find a div with ID equals web view. There's only one of those. And so what we can do is create a chain that says if you're in a div with ID web view and you're a table with a body and a row, then the cell should have this set of CSS applied to it, and this is how we do that. The space is important. You got to have one space in between your elements to create this chain. And what this chain says is specifically only apply this to table cells that are in this relationship. So now if we spin up our page again, let's get rid of some of the older ones. We should see that the header's been fixed because we're no longer applying that right alignment to those cells. If we go to our cooling reset graph, see it's also got some issues there, so let's go fix that. Save this, and we'll check which script CSS we're picking up. And it's the wrong one, so we'll pick up SA Reset Demo and spin that page up also. Let's make sure we got the right page. Here's our cooling graph, and the header's been fixed now, as well as our table cells. So that's great. Let's look a little bit more detail about how our plot graph works. One of the key features we like about it, when it works, is the ability to update on the fly. So what I mean by that is we can type in a new return air temperature value, and the graph will update based on that value. So let's look at how that's done. If we look at our supply air temperature in the onUpdate event, it's doing a little housekeeping, but the most important thing is it's calling doPlot. So anytime the supply air temperature is changed, it's going to redraw the graph. That's how we get that live interactivity. Remember that doPlot is on our local functions page, and here we can take a look at that. That's actually our on-show event. Let's create a new file to look at our local functions page. Pick all that up, put it in here. Here's our doPlot. First thing it does, it creates a set of points that are going to be the blue line we see on the page. So we can see it starts on y high, the high y-axis point, goes out to x low, then it does a diagonal to x high, y low, and then it stays flat all the way out to the 100% mark on y low. So that first set, D1 set of points, is plotted on the element called float. And if we look at our page, as we expect now, we see an ID equals float. That's where we're drawing to. That's what ties the code to the element on the screen. You can change your graph size by changing the width and height here. After we draw the blue line, we create some labels on the screen, and we use the global composite operation screen to try to get our new points on top of the previously drawn ones. You can see more information about your options here. Here's the offsets we're talking about. These are the labels. So here's max supply air temp, min supply air temp. And let's say we decided we're going to take the hard way to change the color and do it right here at the cell level. So we're going to make our labels, instead of white, they'll come out black. We'll go ahead and paste that back into our local function. And spin up the page. And there's our black labels from that change there. Similarly, if we change our boundary conditions, let's say it goes up to 125 degrees, the graph will redraw itself. And we can change our boundary conditions for the return error as well. The graph will always redraw itself because the calculation of supply air temp will change, and that drives the redrawing of the graph. If you're going to go ahead and start creating other float graphs, be aware you need to have the float include file, float.inc, in your system.3. That just imports the scripts necessary to support float, jQuery, the float library, the stack, etc.